Excuses that the narc makes to the scapegoat. Take one. Probably just need one take because I know this shit well. I know it like the back of my hand. Ready? Why'd you abuse me? I didn't know how to love you because my mommy and my daddy didn't love me. Or some shit like that. That is the number one excuse these people make. If you even get an excuse. Some of us didn't even get an excuse. But many of you, I've read many people's stories, and that's the bullshit excuse they get, particularly from the mothers, right? I didn't know how to love you because my mommy didn't love me. I didn't know what to do. I should have won an Oscar for this shit. I'm too good, right? So, here's why that's bullshit, right? We know that they knew what to do, but they chose not to do it. And the reason we know that is because they bitch about the treatment they got as a child, right? So, let's say your mother or your father was abused, right, by their parents, and they talk about it or they let some of it slip, or they're like, yeah, well, you think you got it bad? Your granddaddy and your grandma did this to me. Oh, yeah, you think it's bad? Well, imagine being raised in my time. Oh, you think this, you think that. Imagine all the shit I had to go through and all that other bullshit excuses they have, right? But those excuses are telling, or those stories are telling, I should say. Because what it shows is they know that that treatment is wrong, right? If you're complaining about something, it's generally because you perceive it to be wrong. If I order steak and eggs, okay, and you bring me waffles and fries, I'm gonna complain because it's wrong, right? I want the problem fixed. I want what I ordered. So if you're complaining about it, you know it's wrong. If you know it's wrong, why are you replicating it and pushing it and extending it to the next generation? Why are you doing that? And then turning around and saying, I didn't know how to love you. I just didn't know that it was wrong to slap my kid across the face and call her a whore. I just didn't know it was wrong to punch my kid in the chest and tell him he ain't shit. I just didn't know how to love you. As if we want diamonds and money and fucking a Ferrari when we first turned 16 and fucking 28 million in the bank, as if that's what love means. As if a kid wants anything more than just be fucking nice to me. Treat me like a human being. Don't treat me like an emotional punching bag. These are very easy things to know and do, particularly if you have some emotional maturity and you have self-reflected, and most importantly, perhaps, you have understood that you now have a tremendous responsibility of raising up a life that did not ask to be here, right? So all those things should be easy. At the very least, if you can't do the job, give the kid away to somebody who can. I don't want to hear this shit about, I didn't know how to love you. I've seen many estranged parents videos, right, where they did that. I'll give you an example. And it was like that lady, what's her name, Ayanla? Ayanla fixed my life. That bullshit artist who makes excuses for fucking fucked up parents. Woman brought her daughters on there, her 3 daughters. I believe she had 2 or 3 daughters. Okay? Brings her daughters on the show. This woman done allowed every man in her life to beat her kids up, be mean to them, probably did some inappropriate shit. I don't recall them mentioning that, but that's usually what happens in these cases, in these stories. The mom brings in, sorry about all this, the mom brings in what happened to her. That's her favorite thing. That's a fucked up bitch's favorite thing, to bring in the shit that happened to her because she doesn't want her daughters to have it better than her. That's the truth. If I got diddled, you're getting diddled, because I'm not going to go through this hell alone. A fucked up single mother that is narcissistic, because this is not all single mothers, but a fucked up narcissistic single mother wants her daughter to live in the hell that she lives in, and she wants her to live there eternally. But I digress. She brings her kids on this show. These girls are like, how could you do this? How could you allow these men to verbally and physically abuse us? How could you just stand there and let it happen? And the mom starts crying these alligator tears. Okay, you could see the woman pushing herself to emote in some way, right? So she could seem like there's some emotion there, but you could see it was forced, or at least from my perspective, it was forced. Whereas when the camera pans over and we're looking at these daughters, they are shaking, they are crying, nose running, hard to contain themselves, thinking about all the horrible things that happened because mommy didn't know what to do. And that was exactly her excuse. My mom did the same thing to me and I didn't know what to do. I just didn't know what to do. My mother did that to me too, so I had to do anything else. Nope. What you wanted was a man at any cost. You probably didn't plan for your kids like most of you bitches do, and most of you low-life guys do. Okay? And you had them, but you still wanted to party. But you saw their innocence. You remember the innocence you used to have, and you thought, that can't stand. That cannot stand. And I like low-life thug dick anyway. So let me bring that in. And if something happens to my kid, great. If something doesn't, I still have some thug dick. And then 20 years later, when these girls, now women, are successful, because all the daughters seem to be well-spoken, well put together, attractive, successful, business-type women, at least in my perception. They did not say what the profession was, but it seems like they were very gainfully employed. Now that I see that my daughters have become something, a la Simone Biles, now I want to play ball. Now I want to talk about it. Come on, Iyanla. Come on, Iyanla. I'm a black woman crying. Excuse everything I do. Come on, Iyanla. Look at these grown women in the face and help me make the excuse that, oh, she didn't know it was wrong. When your calling as a mother is to protect, provide, and nurture it. You didn't know it was wrong to have random dudes up in your house. You didn't know that was wrong. They know. That is the most bullshit explanation, I think, out of the whole narcissistic universe. You know, the Marvel universe, out of the whole narcissistic universe. That excuse is the most infuriating whenever I hear it. And again, I didn't get an excuse. I got radio silence and or mocking. But when I hear other people get that excuse and they buy it and they go along with it and they're like, oh, she didn't have the tools. He didn't have the tools. What tools do you have to have to know that you should not make your kid feel depressed, distressed, and afraid? Physically harmed, emotionally harmed, touched inappropriately. What tools do you need to know that? Because those are literally things in the law. So you know you can't drive your car drunk. You know you can't kill somebody. Okay? You know you can't rob a bank. But for some reason you didn't know that you couldn't abuse your child. You didn't have those tools. You didn't understand. Nobody made you aware of that. I'm getting animated, but that's because I'm pissed. They know, they have the tools. They just felt like, and this is what I assume, because I'm not one of these pieces of shit So, they assume that the kid will absorb it because they target mostly, they probably treat all their kids like shit on some level. They do. But they target the scapegoat. And they do it because you're a nice kid. They think that there's an endless supply of grace you're going to give them. They think there's an endless supply of forgiveness. They think the fact that you're a child and you need them, that's going to be the core of your relationship with them. These are very stupid people. Not just because they lack common sense, but they lack heart. But what they don't understand is projection in time. Every child grows to become an adult if they're lucky. And when you become an adult, that relationship has to necessarily change. It cannot be the same. It would be inappropriate and ridiculous if it was the same. So they don't ever see that shit coming because, again, they're stupid. So they think, oh, I'm just going to keep slapping my kid in the face, either physically or emotionally, and they're just going to accept it forever. And I'll die at 90 and they'll be my little stooge, my little 70-year-old stooge. And they're going to be okay with it. And sometimes that happens. It's a damn shame. I get messages for people in their 60s and 70s, not in the 80s yet, but I'm sure that's coming, talking about how shitty their parents were and how for 50 or 60 years, they slaved at their side, and it's like, fuck that. I think I'd rather jump off a building. I think I'd rather go out fighting a fucking a rabid bear. You know what I'm saying? I think I'd rather anything but that. That sounds like a fate worse than death. I'd rather go out Revenant style. Fuck that. These people know. They have the tools. They were just too emotionally lazy to do it. And by the time we get old enough and we go no contact, they realize the damage is done. They realize they can't put a Band-Aid on it. They realize they can't just throw you in the car and take you to McDonald's anymore. They realize a doll ain't gonna fix it. They realize a Lego set ain't gonna fix it. You as an adult want real accountability, which is what they don't do, because that requires work. And these are emotionally lazy, stunted, broken, fucked up people that the law should have precluded from becoming parents. They have the tools, they're just too lazy to use them.